Before I even start, I want to thank all of you for being here today. And I want to acknowledge that I do make a commitment to service and to represent the community. But let me be clear, I would never be able to do the things that I do without my wife, Grace, and her patience. Well, her patience most of the time. And she's not only a great partner who brings common sense to me, but she's also the most wonderful mother to our beautiful children, Peter and Christina. I'm grateful, so thank you, Grace, for tolerating me. I want to thank Kristi, Wendy, and the tag team of Representative Laura Devlin and Megan McCloat. Kristi, thank you. I didn't realize I talked that much, but I did. And Wendy, you have been gracious and kind, so I thank you. I am so looking forward to serving in the Senate chamber with Representative Devlin as Lieutenant Governor and with Ms. McCloat as my state representative in the 134th District. I think your articulation and your emotion and true commitment is really a continuation of the quality of candidates who have served in the 134. So good luck to both of you. I look forward to working with both of you. I want to thank the delegates for being here. You've taken time on your busy schedule to come on a Monday night to offer your support, so thank you. So I'm so excited and enthusiastic to accept a nomination because there is so much work that needs to be done. So let me be clear. I am so thrilled to accept a nomination to be your state senator candidate for the 28th district, not the 134th. I think as we look at the challenges ahead of us, it is undeniable that the COVID pandemic has impacted all of our lives, every facet of it. I am so encouraged that we are now moving forward to a new phase, a new normal. I'm very grateful for the vaccine and the boosters. I'm grateful for the great work of our municipal leaders, our frontline healthcare workers, as well as all the individuals that have endured so much of the restrictions and challenges and the alterations to their lifestyle. We in Connecticut should be tremendously proud that we have done an extremely good job in keeping people safe, but we have paid a price. So I would say one of the biggest challenges we have in Connecticut is to truly move forward in addressing the challenges that have been left behind by COVID and how we will handle it moving into the future. I think for us to succeed in the new normal, I think we need to have leadership that thinks about moving forward, that thinks about working collaboratively to solving the challenges that we have. I'll cite some of the important challenges that we have. I think first and foremost, it's an issue of affordability. When I talked about affordability, it is such a wide encompassing issue. We're not simply talking about the painful tab that we have when we go to our grocery stores, when we go fill up a tank of gasoline, when we receive our utility bills and heating oil bills, when we see the rise in fees and taxes that burden all of us. The incredible challenge we have in affordability is the fact that COVID has been an issue, the war in Ukraine has been used as an issue, but I believe fundamentally we have a system of government in Connecticut that is tax and spend. Rather than truly taking this opportunity with federal ARPA money, with the influx of capital gains and surpluses that we've gained, we had a great opportunity to change government, to make it more accountable, to make it more sustainable, to respect our taxpayers' hard-earned dollars that we receive as part of government. Unfortunately, our current structure and the current belief continues to be a tax and spend. continues to increase the burden and really deny the true affordability of our residents. There are so many people that are struggling, and we need to be their voice. It cannot be a government that is catering to special interest, be it be utilities, be it be the state employees union, be it be to special interests that impact in a small minutia at the expense of taxpayers in Connecticut. So when I talk about affordability, it truly is an all-encompassing ecosystem analysis. It's not about our budget that people are touting that it's the largest tax cut. Read between the fine lines. This large tax cut, most of it is a one-time deal. There is no change in the structure of government. In fact, we grew government nearly 7% in the latest budget. We have already projected an $800 million deficit for fiscal year 23. So don't be swayed by election year public relations. Look underneath the numbers. We have an affordability problem. We have a tax and spend problem. So for me, this is my lead issue in regards to what we can do for the citizens of Connecticut and the residents of the 28th district. Another critical element is the balance between state government mandates, controlling aspects of our lives, versus our local governance and control, personal choice, parental input. It's a big umbrella that covers the whole gamut, but it is a fundamental principle for my belief in government, that for us to truly be representative, you have to start at the grassroots level. You have to engage in the people whose lives has the most impact on, who is directly engaged with people, and not prescribe to a one-size-fits-all, that state government, through its mandates, know better than you next door. You, a representative body of my community, people that I live next door to who know the issues firsthand. That's been my biggest challenge in some of the roles and the battles we've had, because there are well-intentioned people up there that truly believe that state government knows what's best for your community, that they can correct inequities and challenges that have not been met. To me, perhaps they might. But to me, in order to truly create an effective plan, I'm a believer that we need to collaborate. We need to have collaboration between shareholders whose lives will be impacted, local governance that are directly in contact and represent the communities that they serve, state government from a macro basis, and even the federal government to be able to engage and offer support and services. But only when you have collaboration and true shareholder input from all these entities will we craft a plan that's truly effective and implementable and ultimately sustainable. Unfortunately, right now, under the one-party system of this state, a Democratic governor, a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate, the arrogance of one-party control, the arrogance of power that says, we know what's best for you. We're going to tell you what to do. To me, that's absolutely unacceptable. It doesn't even work in my own house. I'm telling you that right now. I learned it easily. It really doesn't work. You need to hear all voices. One example I'll give you is this touted budget that you hear so many of my Democratic colleagues talk about. That budget is 763 pages, 531 sections of legislation and policy that will impact every citizen of this state. It was handed out to us as policymakers 3 hours before we had to vote on it. I read quick. The fact that the lack of transparency, accountability, and respect for process because of the arrogance of one-party control allows that to happen. How many people have heard that? It's unconscionable that we would pass a $24.2 billion budget adjustment coming out hours before we have to cast a vote on it. Remarkable. But that's the arrogance of power. It's the arrogance of state and its mandates knowing what's best for everyone else. Well, I don't subscribe to that. I'll continue to fight for that. If every one of my critical issues die on the vine because I'm fighting for the greater good, you know what? I will always continue to do that. But the lack of transparency, respect, when I talk about the balance between local, state mandates, it goes to all facets. We talk about the government and it's in the budget process. We also need to look at education. The emergency that we gave and the power that we gave the governor for nearly 2 years impacted and gave total power to the executive branch. And it created a tipping imbalance that affected our lives. Apply this to any of the areas we're talking about. I can bring up the issue of education. It impacted our ability to have in-person school, the decision to go virtual, hybrid, putting our kids and parents and educators on a roller coaster ride that's created such havoc, the cancellation of our sporting activities and the impact it has on our young people, the curriculum input in regards to what is being taught is always another subject without input from constituencies. The idea of masking our children without any medical basis of guidelines has been a point of frustration. I want to acknowledge the parents who spoke up on behalf of their children. We saw the residual effects of not listening and not engaging in the crisis of youth mental health. We all agree. In fact, I'm very proud that we passed out 3 comprehensive bills related to the mental health crisis. But I'll say to those very people that pat themselves on the back, what were you doing for 2 years while this crisis was brewing? Why were you not listening to the parents who saw the devastating effect on their children? Again, state mandate, state knowing what's best, disrespects the collaborative effort and voices from people that make a difference. We talk about land use and zoning and affordable housing. Look, the mantra of saying that communities are exclusionary, that we're not addressing race dynamics and social equity. No doubt, we have inequities in our state. We need to do better. And let me be clear, we have a crisis in housing in the state of Connecticut. We have a crisis in affordable, accessible, and diverse housing everywhere, not just in our suburbs, but in our cities and our rural communities. It is absolutely critical that we create a model that is not a state mandate under the statute of 830G. My line that I'm using quite a bit, and it's getting kind of reaction, is no, 830G is not a dirty 4-letter word. But the reality is, it's evoked so much emotion. And even for the advocates that supported it 30 years ago, they have acknowledged the fact that it has failed. And 830G, by its mandate, has a noble goal of affordable housing, but it bypasses local zoning, environmental, watershed issues, all aspects as it relates to local zoning and land use and environmental concerns, all for, quote, the greater good and the state knows better. It's a false premise. It's created such disrespect for personal property rights and local governance, as well as for people like myself that are champions of environmental stewardship. You're going to cause irreparable damage, and you're going to walk away and say, whoops, we made a mistake. just as we have done with 830G for the past 30 years, but we choose not to address the problem and make a change. Another area from a standpoint of local input versus a state mandate. I truly believe that we have an important balance between respecting individual rights. Maybe it's a libertarian view, but the reality is I truly believe in the balance of governmental mandates versus personal choice. Whether that means being able to input on your children's education, whether it's the right of parents in regards to vaccination, whether it's a choice in regards to school that they want to go to, whether it be parochial, public, private, or charter schools. I believe a parent has to have an important part in regards to that. But another part is truly that I believe in a person's body to make their decisions as it relates to marriage equality, choosing who they can marry and love, an individual's ability to make decisions impacting their body. I respect that. I value that. So you're going to get some disagreements, but it's a good premise that I've always been consistent on. But it's important to note that in the state of Connecticut, it is not a political defining line. We have seen in this state of Connecticut for nearly 25 years a codification and a bipartisan basis on this issue. But if you don't want to talk about affordability, you don't want to talk about a respect for transparency and process, then you know what? That may be the only issue you want to talk about. But to me, we can talk about it. Look at the record. Look at the record. Don't be misdirected. Look at the issues. And for those people that want to generalize and mischaracterize and assign symbolism and ideals, I think the only challenge I have for them, look at the record. Look at what we stand for. And for me, I'm proud to be a Republican that represents my community and fights for my community and believe in the sense that we also have a critical aspect of social responsibility. I can talk about fiscal, I can talk about choice and balance in government, but I am also a believer that in our respects, we have an important role in government to have a social responsibility to help those less fortunate, those that have been impacted by domestic violence, poverty, and inopportunity impacted by physical, intellectual disabilities. We have an important responsibility to ensure that we provide a safety net for those individuals and their families, and that we empower individuals that have been unfortunately impacted by society or by situations that we in government should empower by giving them a hand to lift them up, to empower them with skills, with opportunity, and an environment to succeed. I do not believe in entitlement programs for no reason, but I do believe that we have a social responsibility in government to empower people, to lift people up to succeed. So make no mistake about it, affordability is important. Governance and local balance is important. But the social consciousness that guide us in what we do is equally important to what I believe a public servant should entail. So, Kristi, you're right. I guess I took a little longer, but I appreciate the opportunity to kind of outline some of the things that are important to us. I think as we engage into the campaign season, I'm so excited and motivated to be able to tell our story, to tell the Connecticut Republican story of what we can do to make it better. what we can do to make a positive difference in people's lives and not be guided by national headlines, by media portrayals, by the characterization or mischaracterization. I think all of you who I gotten to know very well and grateful to have to be called as friends is the fact people know where I stand. I believe it's an incredible honor and privilege to serve. And again, I wouldn't be able to do that without the support and the patience of my wife and my family. But nonetheless, with their support, it's been one of the greatest jobs that I've ever had. And I take it very seriously, and I'm so excited to begin the next session as your state senator. So thank you very, very much, and thank you for being here.